I hate it when I start playing old RPGs and I have to break out the graph paper, and it just makes me angry about grids. So how about I just play games about grids that I don't really have to use the grid paper for? I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today I count down my top 5 games for grid gaming.
Second Opinion Games.
Number 5, Grid Runner for the Atari 8-bit computer. Made by a legendary game designer, Jeff Minter, a man so legendary he has never told a sheep, let's just be friends. And you're on a grid where you're just shooting down other stuff that attacks you on the grid. Quite simple, really, except for all the crazy stuff that happens to you while you play this game. Things are just thrown at you left and right. You could also control this other sort of option and have it go to a certain area, maybe even shoot through it for extra powerful, but using this and manipulating it in ways to pass each level is really the whole way to play the game. That and dodging everything that gets thrown at you, and also this game gets weird at spots, probably because of that Jeff Minter fella. Number 4, Beam Rider for the ColecoVision. That's right, you are entirely on a grid here, shooting down different space aliens that try to attack you. If you manage to clear all 15 of them, and even dodge some of their bullets, and maybe even boulders that are thrown at you, well then a mothership will travel way along the background, and then you have to launch your torpedoes, which are a bit more long-distance weapon, and take out that. If you do so, you get a huge bonus, and you move on to the next round. If you don't, well then the mothership gets away, and you just move on to the next round anyway, and just rinse, cycle, repeat until you die. The game gets harder and harder with every stage you pass, duh, but this is still an extremely fun game, and very much on a grid, obviously. Number 3, Super Bomberman on the Super Nintendo. That's right, the game that you can't take on an airplane because you have to say the word bomb, and no one wants to hear that on an airplane. Don't do that. But you play as Bomberman, moving through levels, planting bombs down, and blowing up stuff. Eventually, you'll be able to kick the bombs, and then the whole game becomes a lot more easy, until eventually you blow yourself up, which is guaranteed to happen while playing this game. 95% of all deaths are done by your own hands. Just stop putting bombs in front of yourself and boxing yourself in, please. But this game entirely takes place on a grid, and it's still fun and awesome. Number 2, Grid Runner on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1. This is an entirely different grid-based game than Grid Runner on the old Atari ST. In this game, it's more like Capture the Flag, where you run around trying to pick up as many flags as you can, if you happen to be it. Because it's also like tag. If you're the first person to make it to a flag, well then you just run around collecting the flags, while the other person tries to get you. If they do, then they will be it, and they will capture all of their flags, and you'll have to try to, well, get them. This takes place entirely in outer space with a futuristic vibe to game show to the whole deal. You'll be picking up different orbs and even these little hourglasses, which come in handy in the bonus stage after every single level, letting you pick up more orbs to power up your character, making him stronger or run faster than your opponent, and you're gonna need to run faster because if they're going to run faster than you, well, this whole tag thing is going to be a real short match. So make sure you take full advantage of those early levels, and this is a really fun game if you happen to give it a try. Number 1, VidGrid for the Atari Jaguar CD. On a side note, this is the first and only time the Atari Jaguar CD ever appeared to number 1 at anything ever, which is a shame because this particular game has the best soundtrack of any game I think I've ever played in my entire life. It has Enter Sandman by Metallica, it has Van Halen's Right Now, there's Jimi Hendrix here, Guns N' Roses' Cold November Rain, and even Aerosmith. Now the whole premise of this game is that you're playing music videos that's on a grid and you have to pick up the pieces and move them around. Also, you have to flip them. Now the creative way that music videos are made with super quick cuts and just stuff distorted everywhere makes this game nearly impossible to play. It'll start off as a 3x3 grid, but if you happen to complete that in a certain amount of time, well then it switches to a 4x4 grid, and then you'll be at a rush to complete the stage before the music video is over. If you happen to do so, then you win. There's also plenty more here, just more of the same, really. You can just change the dimensions of the grid and how it morphs afterwards. But overall, this is a super fun game with an incredible concept that will never be done again, because it's also gets kind of boring after a brief period of time, and also your brain starts to scramble after long-term playing of this game. I played it for like 2 hours today, and now every time I look around, I just want to move bits and pieces around because they just don't make sense anymore. So if you really like grids and you don't want to be on the internet, hopefully this list was for you to know what's best. Sadly, VidGrid's only found on the Atari Jaguar CD. So yeah, stuff it, everyone else. The Atari Jaguar CD now provenly rocks. And that's why it is my best console for playing off the grid. Somehow. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.
You